The mindset you're bringing to trading right now is sabotaging your success. You need to rewire your mind if you want consistent profitability and funding. Not knowing what I'm going to share in this video will jeopardize your trading future, and you will continue to put an enormous amount of time, energy, and focus into refining your trading strategy without ever addressing the root cause of the problem, which is your own mind. You just need to follow exactly what I share in this video. So without further ado, let's get into this advanced masterclass on how you can rewire your trading mindset. Now, in this lecture, we're going to dive into multiple different topics. I'm going to be talking about the development of your brain, give you an understanding of your brain that you've probably never seen on YouTube before. I'm going to be sharing some more advanced concepts and some more advanced ideas. But I guarantee you, if you watch this video through, you understand the topics I'm passing on to you, and you implement the exact action steps I'm going to share with you at the end of this video, there is not a chance that you can't improve your trading psychology and as a result, the money you make as a trader. There are a few very, very important topics that we need to discuss because the mind you have in your head right now has been programmed in a very particular way. This is from our anthropological development to the way your brain is physically constructed to the programming we've had through society, through the stimulus we get. And if you don't understand these topics, if you don't understand why your brain is the way it is now, you're vulnerable to that. And then when you go and trade the markets, you don't even realize or know why you're making the types of decisions you're making. So by going through this advanced lecture, understanding it, and specifically implementing the exact step-by-step processes I share at the end of the video, you're going to have a greater understanding of your own brain, as well as have the very tools that are necessary to be able to manage your psychology to ensure that you can build consistent profitability as a trader, and to ensure that you're not sabotaging your own trading success. Now, the first overarching idea I want to present here is this idea of the two different yous, the way your brain is developed physically. Now, this is a generalization, this is a bit of a summary, but we're going to summarize your brain into two different components. You've got the prefrontal cortex, which we're going to label the human or the more advanced part of your brain. And you've also got the amygdala, which is the emotional part of your brain. We can call this the chimp, we can call this the monkey, we can call this the devil, we call it whatever you want to call it. But there are two different parts of your brain. You've got the human and you've got the monkey. The human is the prefrontal cortex that's responsible for strategic decision making and making decisions according to a plan or a process. It has a look at what is the most objective decision to make in this situation based on my rules and based on my systems. The amygdala is the emotional part. The amygdala is responsible for survival. It's the part of your brain that reacts to external stimulus to keep you alive. Now, as a trader, we have to do everything we can to quiet down the amygdala, to manage the amygdala, that survival, impulsive and instinctive response, and activate the prefrontal cortex, the more executive part of the brain. The prefrontal cortex is the good trader. The amygdala is the one that's responsible for FOMO, overtrading, revenge trading, getting angry, smashing your keyboard, throwing your mouse, doing all those impulsive and instinctive animalistic behaviors. That's the amygdala. Now, in an ideal world, if a trader was able to calm down the amygdala and remove the amygdala, which you can't, but if a human being was able to do that, they would consistently execute on their trading plan and they would build consistent profitability. This is why computers, a lot of the times, are better traders than humans. Okay? So our job, and really what mastering your trading mindset is all about, is it's about having processes, principles, and tools to be able to manage and quiet down your amygdala's response, activate the prefrontal cortex, and put that in charge to make executive decisions in alignment with your trading plan. Really, if you go through every single one of my YouTube videos, that's ultimately what those videos are trying to help you to do, okay? So this overarching understanding of the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex is probably the most important concept that we're going to discuss, and everything we talk about helps you quiet down the amygdala, put the prefrontal cortex in charge. Now, throughout our development from an anthropological perspective, thousands and thousands of years ago, you have to understand that our ancestors, when they were out in the wild and all they wanted to do was get food and hunt so they could survive the next day, and they wanted to protect themselves from any predators out there so they could survive another day, the brain they had in their head was developed and designed for that particular environment and that particular situation. The amygdala was so heavily wired back then because it was necessary for survival. When they saw a threat in front of them, a saber-toothed tiger, for example, they had to have a split-second response to keep them alive. So what happened in their mind is that they would see that saber-toothed tiger, they would label that saber-toothed tiger bad, they would then have a biochemical response where adrenaline and cortisol would be pumped through their body to prime them for a sympathetic fight or flight response, where if in that situation they perceived themselves strong enough to fight the threat, they would, otherwise they would flight, they would get out of there. Okay, and that response there was developed as a way to keep that our ancestor alive in that situation. They had to have that biochemical and that survival response to keep themselves alive. So throughout our development, that amygdala became very heavily wired. The neurons were favored for the amygdala response because that's ultimately what kept us alive in those types of situations. Okay, but as you can appreciate, as societies developed, we don't have the same sort of threats, daily life-threatening threats that our ancestors faced thousands of years ago. So it's important to understand that the brain we have in our head right now has been developed based on the responses that our ancestors needed thousands of years ago. Human nature never gets rid of old things. It only builds new layers on top of. So the brain we have in our heads right now that we bring to the markets and that we trade with has that same hardwired survival response built into it. And if we don't learn how to manage it and mitigate it, it's going to impact our trading negatively, and it's going to stop us from building consistent profitability. Now, as societies have developed, we have new infrastructure. We can walk out our apartment or our house for the most part, and we can be in a very safe environment where we're not necessarily faced with life-threatening situations day to day. For the most part, it's very, very easy to get food for majority of people in this world. For the most part, it's very, very easy to get access to the basic needs. Food, water, shelter. If you're watching this YouTube, if you're trading, if you have internet connection, chances are you're in that camp where a lot of those basic needs are taken care of. For the most part, we can walk outside and not have a life-threatening situation. So the environment we're in nowadays is very, very different to the environment our ancestors were in thousands of years ago. And the point I'm trying to make here is that for the most part, if we're coming to the markets and we're in an air-conditioned apartment or in a house in a safe environment, we've had breakfast that morning, we're well fed, we're well hydrated, and we're coming to the charts. If you're utilizing proper risk management in the markets, firstly, there are no life-threatening threats in that situation. And secondly, if you're using proper risk management in the markets, there are no real major threats in that particular situation. So as a trader, because a lot of the basic needs have been taken care of, it's important to recognize that we then need to learn how to manage and mitigate and quiet down that survival response in our brain. It's hardwired because in the situation, in the environment we're in that particular point in time, it's not necessary. What's necessary is activating the thrival part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, the more executive part of your brain, because that's ultimately what's going to help you observe the markets, see where the markets are at, and make the most rational and objective decision based on your trading plan and based on your trading rules. So to give you an idea of how the brain ties into Maslow's hierarchy of needs or Kohlberg's stages of moral development, the lower down you are in the stages of development, the more likely you're going to have your amygdala hardwired. And if you're this is why if you're extremely hungry, you're a bit of bit crankier, at least I am. Or if you haven't had enough water, or you haven't had enough sleep, or you feel unsafe, you become heightened, you become more reactive, you become more attentive to your environment around you, the external stimuli, because you perceive yourself in danger. The survival part of your brain kicks in. But the more and more you take care of these basic needs, these lower stages, and you feel safe, you've got your shelter, your food and your water, and you have those components in place, and you're a man or a woman on a mission, you know exactly what you're doing, and you've got your trading plan in place, and you know exactly what your edge is, you have your trading goals all laid out, and you're very precise, and you're very particular, and you're very intentional in your actions, and you're living a more self-actualized life, and you have principles that you live by, and you have a secure source of income, or you've got cash savings, and your health is in a good place, your relationship are in a good place, you feel loved, you feel like you're an appreciated individual. If you've taken care of the other components of your life, which I've been speaking about immensely on this YouTube channel, and you're empowered in the other areas of life, or you're at least working towards it, then you recognize that you start to transcend up the stages of development to more of a self-actualized individual. And in those situations, you tend to have your prefrontal cortex more heavily wired. Your brain literally reallocates resources, blood glucose and oxygen, into the prefrontal cortex because it doesn't feel like it needs to allocate the resources to the amygdala. It doesn't feel like it's in a threatening situation, so it can allocate resources to the more advanced part of your brain. And that's where you really start to build momentum. That's where you make the best decisions as a trader. So understand the environment you're in and how other areas of your life are impacting your life in that moment is going to affect your brain in that moment and what you bring to trading. So there are very particular things you can do to help ensure that your amygdala is quiet, it's calm, and you've put your prefrontal cortex in charge, which we're going to discuss more later in this video. Now, also understand this. Throughout your life, you get programmed into a certain set of beliefs of what is good and what is bad. One of the most common programmings or belief systems that ultimately affects your trading is around winning and losing, and how you can stomach winning and losing. And throughout your life, especially if you played sport or you're in any competitive field, if you won a game, you were celebrated, you were praised, you got labeled good and successful, and you learned to associate dopamine to winning and positive and benefit to winning in your mind. It's all through association. And if you lost a game, you got punished. People said bad luck, and you got reprimanded. And there was a negative association to losing. And throughout society, throughout your life, you get programmed into seeing things in a very particular way, especially around winning and losing. You learn to associate pleasure and positive to winning. You learn to associate negative and pain to losing. The issue here, however, is as a successful trader, successful trading encompasses both winning and losing. You see, the mindset that is programmed in society is very different to the mindset you need to be as a successful trader. As a successful trader, you need to know how to both win and lose to allow your edge to play out and to have consistent profitability. Whereas the mindset you get taught in society is that winning is good, you should win, and losing is bad, you should avoid losing. But that mindset doesn't work in the markets because it's necessary to both win and lose in order to let your edge play out. So too, the mindset you get programmed into when you work and you're in more of an employment, and you get trained into thinking that if I work 40 or 50 hours a week, I'm going to get paid a certain amount of dollars. Time equals money. Whereas when you come into the market, you learn to realize that the market doesn't work like that. You realize that you can put hours and hours and hours of time in and not get any payment from that. You can backtest for 30 hours and get no payment for that. So too, you can also place a position, and I've seen some traders make an enormous amount of money, 6 figures sometimes in one trade, which is maybe a 3 or 4 hour trade. So the market doesn't work the same way as society works. And you have to recognize that if you have certain beliefs about money or about winning and losing or about time equaling certain dollar amount, and you get programmed into that thinking in society, and then you try and bring that and replicate that in the market, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're not putting yourself in the most realistic state of mind that is congruent with how the market operates. And we're going to talk about what mindset the market operates with later in the video. I'm going to show you exactly what mindset is essential to carry in the markets. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to paint a picture and develop this idea that you have to rewire your trading mindset if you want to be successful. Because the mindset you're bringing into trading from society, from your anthropological development, from the belief systems you embody through life and through your employment and through sport and through schooling, will not cut it as a trader. You have to do psychological work and understand the brain on a deeper level and actually work at it if you want to be a successful trader. You have to rewire your mind. Okay? So understand this. It's very, very important. We have to learn how to redefine what winning and losing mean to us. We have to learn to redefine our beliefs around money. We have to learn to redefine what the market is realistically actually going to give us, if anything, because these all play a role in us being a successful trader. Now, another key component that we're going to start to discuss, because this is very, very important. When we understand that the mind we're bringing into trading isn't the mind that's going to help us become a successful trader or be a successful trader, you realize first and foremost that something needs to be done. Okay, which is great. That's the first step. But also recognize that your brain is very, very neuroplastic. Doesn't matter what age you are, really. Your brain is constantly remodeling itself and developing. And there is a law called Hebbian law, or Hebbian theory, that says that the neurons that fire together wire together. So if you're in a situation, you're trading, you realize that, holy shit, the beliefs I have around money or around winning and losing, or, I'm very reactive after I lose because of, maybe certain things that happened and I was punished when I lost earlier in my life, whatever it may be, recognize that something can be done about it. And you can rewire or reassociate your brain to a more constructive belief system or a constructive thought process as a trader, which we're going to talk about at the end of the video. But recognize through Hebbian law that whatever pathways fire together, wire together. Through very specific mindset exercises and embodying the principles of the mindset of a successful trader, you can start to rewire your brain to develop a mindset that's more congruent and conducive with becoming a successful trader. So the ideal trading mindset, what is it? Let's go into it. The ideal trading mindset is one that is detached from the outcome and is focused on the process. Okay? Very, very different to the mindset that you bring into trading, but this is a mindset that needs to be trained, that needs to be developed. It's one that becomes detached from the outcome and is focused on the process. And the ideal trading mindset sounds something a little bit like this. I don't care. I'm unencumbered. I'm carefree about what happens on the next individual trade. Win or loss, I don't care. It's not about the outcome of the next individual trade. Regardless of loss or win, I am truly unaffected. I am focused on consistently executing my trading plan over the next 100+ trades. Win or loss, I don't care. I'm not focused on the outcome. What I'm focused on as a trader is consistently executing my trading plan, which I know I've developed based on my trading edge. I'm unencumbered or carefree about the outcome. I'm not seeking after a win. I'm not trying to avoid a loss in this individual trade. What I'm focused on is executing and adhering to my trading plan. This is the ideal trading mindset. However, you have to understand that you can't just intellectualize this mindset. You can't just run this mindset in your mind and expect yourself to develop it. We're talking about overcoming an anthropological development. We're talking about overcoming belief systems that have been programmed through your life, through society. We're talking about managing and quieting down the amygdala, the survival response. These are all things we have to do to be able to become the trader who embodies this type of mindset. Because remember, the amygdala is reactive to the external stimuli. The amygdala is focused on the outcome. The amygdala labels things good or bad because it wants to say this is bad, negative, survival response, I need to get out of here. Or this is good, positive, I want to capture that and eat that, like prey, right? Because the amygdala is responsible for survival, keeping you alive, getting you away from predator, and helping you catch prey so you can eat, right? Because back then, the two ways you died was getting eaten or not getting enough food to eat. So the amygdala is focused on the outcome. It's constantly labeling the outcome good or bad. But the prefrontal cortex isn't. The prefrontal cortex is focused on being objective and strategic and focused on executing on processes. So as a trader, we have to learn how to quiet down the amygdala. We have to learn how to redefine the beliefs around money, around good and bad, so we can quiet down the amygdala. And we have to do all these things as a way to embody the ideal trading mindset. So there are very specific action steps that you can take and things you can implement to not only intellectualize these principles, but to actually inculcate and embody the principles so that as a trader, you know the principles, but then you can actually exemplify them in your trading. So let's get into that. The implementation. You want to internalize these principles. Firstly, what's most important in ensuring you have a successful trading mindset is ensuring that you, first and foremost, have a profitable strategy and a profitable edge you're executing on. Don't bother trying to pour more water in the bucket if you haven't patched the holes firstly. So you want to identify a specific edge in the market that's crucial, a profitable edge in the market. You then want to put that edge into a mechanical trading plan. Why is that important? You can't expect consistent profitability unless you're consistently executing on an edge. And how can you consistently execute on an edge if that edge isn't clearly laid out and you're coming to the market overwhelmed by decisions, making different decisions every time you trade? How can you adhere to an edge? How can you build consistent profitability? So my argument's simple. You want to identify an edge. You want to put that edge into a mechanical, black and white, step-by-step checklist so you can come to the market every single day and you can replicate that edge. You can consistently stick to that edge because that's ultimately what's going to yield you consistent profitability. Now, I have a free tool, which is the first link in the description. This is the exact template that I give to my six-figure traders to help them take their edge and to put it into a checklist form, into a trading plan form, because I've outlined exactly what they need from the entry to the management, to the exit, to the risk management, and all the minute details in between. I have that all written out in a completely free trading plan template. It's my six-figure trading plan template, which you can download completely free in the description. And what I'm going to encourage you to do is go and download that and then take your edge, take all your backtest results, take the current trading plan you have and put it into that new trading plan I've given you to ensure that every single one of the components that are necessary to understand as a trader have been laid out in that trading plan. Now, why is it important to have a mechanical trading plan when we're talking about the brain also? Remember, the amygdala reacts as a survival, as an animal response to an external stimuli. And if the amygdala sees threat or it's overwhelmed, then it's going to have a response that accentuates adrenaline and cortisol as a fight or flight response. So as a way to quiet that down and calm that down, what's very, very important is that you have a clear set of rules, a black and white set of rules to make it incredibly easy to know exactly what to do next. Despite the overwhelming amount of stimulus or data in front of you, you know exactly what you're doing because it's all written out right in front of you. And what that's going to do is it's going to quiet down the amygdala because it knows exactly what to do. It's not going to be reactive in that moment. This is the exact reason why individuals, professionals in high risk environments or high stress environments have checklists. Things like pilots, people like surgeons, they have checklists as a way to guide their decision making because the last thing they want to be doing in that situation is reacting emotionally through the amygdala response and doing something that could put individuals' lives at harm. Okay, so the reason why those individuals use checklists as a way to guide their decision making in high pressure environments. It should be no different for you as a trader. Use that trading plan template that I've provided, the checklist I've provided, to ensure that you know exactly what you're doing in each scenario in the market, and that quiets down the amygdala, that quiets down the survival response, and allows you to stick to your edge. I love using the analogy of imagine the market is like a jungle. You want to know exactly where you're going. You want to have your roadmap. You know exactly what paths you're taking and which way to go. Your trading plan is like your map in the jungle. It's very, very important to have. So download that free tool. Number 3. Now, once you've put your edge into a mechanical trading plan and you have that mechanical trading plan in front of you laid out with exactly what you need to do in the markets, it's now important to stick to it. Now, one of the most common reasons why traders don't stick to their trading plan is because they then create a fantasy or an idea of what they think is going to happen next. And the amygdala does this, the chimp does this. The amygdala thinks of all the pleasure, all the positives, all the things they could get, all the fantasies, all the ideas, the funded accounts, the profit, the recognition, the cars, the paying of rent, whatever it may be. The amygdala creates all these ideas in the virtual market, and then because of that feeling of pleasure, of wanting to seek after that dopamine, guess what you do? You do things that aren't part of your plan as a way to seek after that pleasure and that dopamine. And we have that impulsive decision making of, I just did something that isn't even part of my plan. Why did I do that? I did it because of all these outcome-based expectations I created in my mind. I think your dollar is going to go to the upside. I think it's going to go this quickly. So I'm jumping in the position even though my trading plan says not to. So now that you have your trading plan, the first step in ensuring you actually stick to your trading plan is identifying those outcome-based expectations that we create in the virtual market and grounding those and adhering yourself back to your trading plan. And I've created a free tool. This tool here is one of the main reasons my students have been able to go off and secure $5 million in funding, because now that they have their trading plan, are becoming aware of their expectations, the outcome-based expectations. They're catching those, they're grounding those, and they're getting themselves back to their trading plan with this very simple step-by-step tool. So by implementing that, you're going to ensure that you actually stick to your trading plan. Okay? So to walk away from this particular video with 3 insights: identify your edge, put that edge into a mechanical trading plan, and then identify and ground any outcome-based expectations in order to stick to your trading plan. That, in a nutshell, is a very, very good start in rewiring your trading psychology. And it covers a lot of the surface level stuff. Now, if we want to take this one step deeper, we can then go in and do what we call deep mindset work. So some of you may actually require more and more deep mindset work because of the social programming, because of the subconscious programming that's going on in your mind. Every single one of the experiences you've had through society, through your experiences, are going to be logged in your subconscious mind. And that's going to impact your decision making moving forward, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. And believe it or not, a lot of traders are actually making decisions based on previous experiences in the past and they're not even aware of it. For example, I had a very painful experience in maybe a sporting event, and I've had a lot of pain logged with a loss in that sporting event. And now as a trader, I have this instinct away from pain. I can't face pain. I can't face the side of pain, because what it's actually doing is it's bringing up all the negative charges associated with that previous event. And a trader may not even be aware of that. So there are deeper things that can be addressed to ensure that you actually go off and stick to your trading plan. And some of the very important concepts that I talk about in the 12-week program are around redefining what winning and losing mean to you, about redefining that belief system that we have around winning and losing that's been developed through society. Going in there and addressing the subconsciously stored baggage. There are very specific exercises that you can go through that I teach in the 12-week program to go to specific moments, identify the subconscious charge in there, address it so that you're no longer run by that in your trading. And you can actually just adhere to your trading plan. We also talk enormously about neutralizing pride and shame after your trades, because if you take a trade, if you take a win and you're very proud of that and you're very puffed up by that, you're going to feel invincible in the market. You're going to feel like nothing can stop you, and you're going to start forcing low quality setups onto the market. You're not going to stick to your plan. Or if you're going to set a shame after a trade and you feel beaten down, then if the market presents another opportunity that's in alignment with your plan, you may not act out of fear. So we need to learn how to manage pride and shame, and there are very specific exercises you can go through to address that. Okay, so what I encourage is, after you've implemented identifying an edge, you've put into a mechanical trading plan, you've started to manage your expectations, and you resonate with the ideas I'm sharing in this particular video, check out the 12-week program. That will be an absolute game changer for you, a mind-expanding program for your trading, because there are deeper, subconsciously stored things that need to be addressed. Okay? But in summary of today's video, understand that the brain you're bringing to trading is most likely stopping you from trading success. Understand that there's an anthropological development. Your brain is predisposed more so for survival because that's how your brain is wired. The amygdala is going to fire first. It's more of the heavily wired part of your brain. It's there for survival. It's there to keep you alive. It's not bad, right? If you're about to get hit by a car, your amygdala is going to wake you up and you're going to get out of that situation. So it's still necessary, but like I've mentioned, when you're sitting at your desk in an air-conditioned room and you're safe in that environment, it's important to start to transcend that and activate the prefrontal cortex. Understand that as you go through life, through society, you're going to take on beliefs around money, around winning and losing, around that type of stuff that needs to be transcended. It needs to be shattered. Some of those beliefs need to be shattered so that the mind you bring to trading is conducive with becoming a successful trader. Understand that through neuroplasticity and by repeating the Bulletproof Your Mindset tool, the managing of your expectations over and over, you're going to start to rewire your brain by going in and using what I call the transcending judgment tool in week 5 in the 12-week program. You can neuroplastically remodel your brain and rewire your brain to start to see and become more process orientated, more process based, as opposed to being so attached to the outcome. And by implementing these processes over and over, you rewire your brain to be what you need it to be a successful trader. Okay, so if you found this video useful, please comment your main takeaway, share these with your trading friends, share this in your trading communities, and check out the resources in the description that I've shared in this video. Take action, start implementing the resources and the ideas I've shared in this video, and I guarantee you will see a change to your trading psychology, and as a result, a change to your trading profitability also. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.